slows right down to a almost stop, and then just when you think it's about to end, there's a
what else was there?
The reason we removed it, it's called A Child of Eternity.
Okay.
The reason it's not on there is because that particular song is almost 100% death metal.
Okay.
And it was included on the album originally, but when we were listening to the album in the studio, we kind of thought, it kind of sticks out a little bit, that one, because the others are kind of really morbid and slow, but quite melodic as well. There's some great harmonies going on. And this angry little bastard doesn't fit with all the rest of it, and what we're going to do with it? So we just thought, well, Peaceful had told us they were going to release a single as well. Ideal. Put it on the single.
Yeah.
We're still proud of the song, you know, we don't look at it as being inferior to anything else. It just doesn't fit on that album, so use it for something else.
Actually, you're kind of getting to the point where I was heading, you know.
I always pre-answer questions.
But it's like I have a feeling that on like the previous albums, including this one, the grunts have been fading out like gradually. And this time, I don't think there's any grunts or practically any grunts.
There's a little bit, but not much. But again, it's not something we do on purpose.
Right.
Yeah, we never really plan albums. We just kind of jam a bit and see what happens. And I mean, I like doing the whole death metal vocal thing. It's a great release of frustration. I thoroughly recommend it to everybody. And you're just not, while you're writing songs, I'm not conscious of leaving it out. Because I guess the music I work with the guys is kind of, it is very melancholic and slow and quite beautiful, I think, and it's a shame to ruin it by screaming all over it.
Do you think that really ruins the mood, or?
To a degree, yes. I mean, in the past, I just screamed on everything because, well, I was young and needed money. And but these days, I'm trying to get the emotion that's in the lyrics to fit with the emotion that's coming out of the guitars. When you're creating an album, you're never conscious of it if it's heading towards a death metal market, or a gothic market, or a doom market. You just go and enjoy it, enjoy the writing process. When it's finished, and only when it's finished, do you get a complete feel for that entire product. It's only then that you think, oh yeah, there's not really much of that, or do you think we should have done this? Too late, we're happy with what we've got.
And you know, most artists, you know, when they talk about their records, they say that it's kind of a reaction you know, towards the previous album. And so I just wanted to know, not you apparently.
No.
No, so
we ignore our previous albums because been there, done that. Time to move on.
Yeah, and that's why it's a reaction, maybe.
Well, maybe, but yeah, I see what you mean. But I don't know. We never really look at our past. I don't look at the last few and say we're getting onto something good here. The fans have picked up on a couple of good moments on the past. We should really exploit them on the next one. It doesn't really work like that because it's not in my frame of mind. When we decide to begin writing a new album, you're just thinking forward all the time. You don't think, oh, Turn Loose the Swans was great, let's redo that. It's just nothing like that. You just plough on ahead. And, well, because we are My Dying Bride, there's going to be similarities, obviously, throughout the whole back catalogue. I mean, that's our roots. That's the foundation of the band, the sort of doom and misery. They're always going to be there. And you just pepper it with the more interesting ideas and try and approach the subjects that you've approached in the past from a new, refreshing angle to keep it interesting, because when you've been doing this kind of material for 16 years, ultimately you need to avoid being boring, because the fans, they'll see through crap riffs and lack of effort. So you've got to put more and more effort into each album to make it sound more and more interesting. And I think as we're getting older, we're simply getting better songwriters. And so I'm really thrilled with what we've come up with on this album. And well, obviously I hope some of the fans will be as well, but it's kind of selfish to say it, but we are the most important when it comes to the songwriting. We're not going to write stuff we don't like, but we think the public might like, because there's no point being in a band then. Well, there is if you just want to make money. We're a cult band still. and we've been ploughing along doing this miserable stuff for 16 years and not really making much money at all, because it's what we want to do. And we're happy with what we've created here on this new album. And I'm not going to say we don't give a damn about the fans, we obviously do, but it's our opinion must come first. They're our babies, we've created them, off they go into the wide world and let everyone else make their own opinion about them.
So on this record there's a new drummer. Because,
John Bennett.
Yeah, Sean apparently had some injury problems, so...
Yeah, Sean's always... He always seems to have been injured. I don't think he'll come back. He hasn't drummed for My Dying Bride for 2 years now. And that's a long time.
Yeah.
Can you really still say he's in the band? I don't know. We haven't sacked him, and he hasn't left. But he hasn't been with us for 2 years. So I'm not sure what's going on there. But we've got the Prophecy drummer, John Bennett, is currently our session and live drummer. He hasn't officially joined My Dying Bride yet, so I guess Sean is still, on paper, the official member of official drummer of the band. But you can't go on like that.
Yeah.
Sean isn't really in the band anymore, and I would like John to join and become a full-time member. At John's request, when the band names appear on the new album, it will be the 5 of us, myself, Andrew, Hamish, Adrian and Sarah, and then underneath it will say percussions by John Bennett, and that was his request because he's not in the band, he's a guest session musician. But I hope that changes in the future. I would like
you really have to be in that state of mind, and if you're like, if it happens, maybe you're in a happy day or something, is it like impossible for you to play that music in the right way?
Well, no, because I hate playing live so much, I'm not in a happy state of mind before we go on stage. Yeah. Well, because when I do write the lyrics, I really put my heart and soul into them. I can't just knock them up on a table in a cafe. It has to be sort of late at night. And it has to be sort of with the candles and the wine, and that sounds very cheesy, but those are the ingredients that go together to get your emotions flowing. And it's late at night, so that no one's going to call around, the telephone won't ring, there's no disturbances. And you have too much wine and you start thinking about past lovers and friends and family and all that stuff. It starts to become an emotional affair, and that's when I start to write the lyrics. And when I have to play live, I'm reliving the moment I wrote the lyrics, which is a sad moment for me. And it's on stage, where the rest of the guys are rocking and enjoying it, I'm on my knees in agony, and I really wish I was anywhere but there. I hardly ever speak to the audience from the stage, because I don't know what to say. I'm in a world of my own. I've got my eyes closed for 90% of the performance, because I'm delirious. I'm tormented. I just would prefer if we didn't play live again. But the rest of the guys love it, and I couldn't deny them, the opportunity to tour the world and stuff. So I go along with them, and for a couple of hours each night, I get tormented. But once it's finished, though, once that massive burden, and this feels like a massive burden to me, once it's been lifted, I relax afterwards, and we get drunk and we have a good laugh, and it's great fun because the pressure's gone. It's all the negative energy that was building up and it's being spewed out into the crowd, and afterwards I just feel full of life, which is a weird thing considering the performance I may have just made. You would expect to see me horizontal for the rest of the night, but it's completely the opposite. I can't possibly.
Okay, and I also read that you kind of you had a sort of stage fright when you're playing.
Well, again, it's that anticipation of opening my heart to the crowd. 10,000 people I don't even know. Singing karaoke in front of 10,000 people would be a nerve-wracking thing, but pouring your heart into it and almost exposing your frailties to what is essentially a 90% crowd of sweaty blokes. It's not an easy thing to do, and it's an emotional roller coaster that just goes down. It never seems to go up. And I know that's coming before we go on stage. An hour before we go on stage, I can feel it starts. The nervous energy's starting, and I'm like this, and I don't know what I'm doing. 10 minutes before we go on stage, come on, I'm ready to burst. Absolutely, the pressure is built up to such a degree. To be honest, we should open with a death metal track every time, just like blurt it all out straight away. But sometimes we don't, and hold it all back. But when it pops, it pops.
Playing at festivals is even harder than playing in the club.
It makes no difference because it's the same. I have to do the same thing whether it's 10 people or 10,000. It doesn't make any difference. People often say, what about